All right, so are you ready to dive into a world of controversy today?
Always up for a challenge.
Yeah, good. Because today we're talking Andrew Tate.
Oh, yeah. Can't seem to escape him these days.
No, you really can't, and that's exactly why we're doing a deep dive on him.
What I find so fascinating is how he kind of embodies the anxieties, all the things that young men especially are struggling with today.
It's true, and we're gonna get into all of that. But first, let's just rewind a little bit to the origin story, I guess you could say.
Okay, back to the beginning.
Yeah. Before all the controversy and the online fame, there was Andrew Tate, the kickboxer.
Four-time world champ.
Exactly, and not just any. I mean, he wasn't messing around. This wasn't some hobby. He was known for being a really strategic fighter.
Tough as nails, too. You got to have that kind of resilience to make it in that world.
You really do. And that's actually, I think, where we see the early signs of, the Andrew Tate who would later build this whole empire.
Totally. You think about the discipline, the drive it takes to train at that level, to push past your limits every single day, and to get knocked down and keep getting back up. I mean, that it translates to anything you do in life.
It's like they say, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Right. And in Tate's case, it's not just about surviving, it's about thriving. And he did that by transitioning from the ring into a whole network of businesses.
Yeah, and he didn't just stick to one thing either. I mean, we're talking Hustlers University, which is specifically aimed at young guys who, want to make money.
And he's got his fingers in real estate, a whole bunch of digital ventures. He's not putting all his eggs in one basket.
No, he is not. And I think that speaks to his whole philosophy, right? Success is a game of persistence and calculated risks. I think that's a direct quote.
That's pure Tate right there. Always pushing boundaries, seizing opportunities, never settling. And it's that entrepreneurial spirit that I think really draws people to him, especially those who feel like the traditional path just isn't working for them.
He's like the ultimate embodiment of hustle culture.
Oh, yeah. Always grinding, always looking for the next big win.
And of course, he's not shy about showing off the rewards of all that hustle.
Oh, no, not at all. The guy lives a life of luxury that most people can only dream of.
It's true. I mean, we're talking a car collection that would make any gearhead drool.
Bugattis, Lamborghinis, Ferraris.
Lavish properties all over the world, private jets, you name it. He's probably got it.
Now, you might be thinking, okay, is all this just for show?
Right, because it's pretty over the top.
Well, it is, but it's also a brilliant marketing strategy. Tate's turned his lifestyle into this powerful tool. It's like he's selling a dream.
Yeah, follow my advice, and you too can have all this.
And that message, it's incredibly alluring, especially for young people who, feel stuck or disillusioned.
It's like a visual representation of his whole message, right?
Exactly.
And of course, he's amplifying that message across social media.
Oh, yeah, you can't escape him.
Huh.
YouTube, TikTok, Instagram.
Everywhere you turn, there he is.
And that's where his influence really explodes. Millions of followers, particularly young men looking for guidance, on how to achieve success, how to be self-reliant.
And his content is definitely motivational, very focused on hard work, setting goals.
But here's where things get really interesting.
Because he's not exactly known for holding back, is he?
No, he's not afraid to say what he thinks, even if it ruffles a few feathers. And his views on masculinity, gender roles, relationships, they often come across as, well, provocative.
To put it mildly, right.
To put it mild, yeah. Like, for example, he said,
I mean, I don't even know where to begin. There's so many things.
Pick one. It doesn't really matter.
Well, he said that, a woman's place is in the home.
See, now you might agree with that. You might vehemently disagree. Either way, there's no denying that he knows how to push buttons and get people talking.
It's like he's cracked the code for online controversy,
Totally. He knows that the more people react, even negatively, the more his content gets seen, it gets shared, it gets discussed.
Which ultimately translates to more followers, more influence, more success.
Exactly. He's turned controversy into this core part of his brand. And while that's obviously led to a lot of backlash, it's also made him impossible to ignore.
Yeah, you can't look away.
You really can't. It's like he's this lightning rod, right? Attracting as much heat as he does light.
Exactly. And for Tate, that heat has come in the form of, legal challenges.
Getting banned from platforms?
It hasn't been a smooth ride, that's for sure.
No, not at all.
So how does he deal with all this backlash? Because despite all the criticism and the bans and everything, his brand just keeps growing. His influence keeps expanding.
He's like Teflon, nothing seems to stick.
He really is. So how does he do it? What's the secret sauce?
Well, I think one strategy is that he's really good at turning criticism into engagement.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, he knows how to leverage negative attention
Hmm.
to get more publicity and just keep people talking about him, even if it's not always good things, you know?
So it's like there's no such thing as bad publicity.
Right, exactly.
But it's got to be more than that, right?
Oh, absolutely. Tate also understands that he has to stay consistent with his message.
Okay.
He reinforces his appeal to his core audience no matter what's happening around him. He sticks to his guns, and that builds a lot of trust and loyalty among his followers.
It's like he's created this echo chamber where his views are just constantly being, reinforced and validated.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. And I think what also helps is that he's diversified his platforms.
Makes sense.
So even if he gets banned from one place,
Yeah.
he's got others to fall back on. It's a smart move from a business perspective.
It really is. So we've got this complex picture of Andrew Tate, right? He's a former athlete turned entrepreneur, living this incredibly lavish life, building a massive online following and sparking endless controversy. But it's not just about him, is it?
No, no, it's not. What's really interesting is what his story tells us about the culture we're living in right now.
Yeah, what does it say about us that someone like Andrew Tate can be so successful?
Well, I think his journey really reflects this larger cultural shift that we're seeing, the rise of personal branding,
The influence of social media.
hustle culture, all of that. And he's tapped into these trends in a way that few others have.
It's like he's a case study in how to build a personal brand in the digital age, even if it means, pushing boundaries and maybe even crossing some ethical lines.
Yeah, it's fascinating and a little bit unnerving at the same time.
For sure. And his success, regardless of how you feel about him or his methods, it forces us to ask some tough questions about our own values and aspirations.
Like what does it say about our society that a figure like Andrew Tate can amass so much influence? Why do his messages resonate so strongly with so many people, and especially young men?
Those are really good questions. And it's not just about the aspirational aspect, right? There's also a lot of anger and frustration out there that he seems to be tapping into.
Oh, absolutely. His message often appeals to people who feel disillusioned or left behind by, the traditional systems of power and success.
And they see in Tate someone who's broken the mold, who's achieved success on his own terms, and who's not afraid to speak his mind, even if it means, challenging social norms.
Exactly. And that brings us back to all the controversies surrounding his views, particularly when it comes to masculinity and gender roles.
Right. We touched on this a bit earlier, but it's worth digging a little deeper, I think. What is it about his message that triggers such strong reactions?
Well, I think for a lot of people, his views come across as, outdated and harmful.
Okay.
They see it as promoting this very narrow and often toxic definition of masculinity.
And they criticize his emphasis on, dominance and aggression and control.
Yeah, they argue that it just reinforces these harmful stereotypes and contributes to a culture of misogyny.
And then on the other side of the coin, you have his supporters who see him as this refreshing counterpoint to what they perceive as, too much political correctness.
Right.
They think he's pushing back against this culture that they feel demonizes traditional masculinity.
And they like his directness.
His honesty.
Yeah, even if it means pushing boundaries and offending some people along the way.
It's like this clash of ideologies playing out on a global stage, and Tate's right at the center of it.
Yeah, and I think it's really important to remember that we're not here to endorse or condemn either side.
Right.
Our goal is to present a balanced view, to really explore the nuances of this complex issue, and encourage you, the listener, to think critically and form your own conclusions.
Exactly. We're not taking sides. We're just diving deep into the complexities of Andrew Tate's world and by extension, I think the complexities of the digital age itself.
It's a world where anyone with a strong voice and a savvy strategy can build a platform and gain influence, regardless of, what their message is or what methods they use.
That's both exciting and a little scary, isn't it?
It is. It is. It opens up all these incredible possibilities for connection and innovation, but it also creates new challenges and ethical dilemmas that we're just starting to grapple with as a society.
Yeah. It's like we're in uncharted territory, trying to figure out this new digital landscape where the rules are constantly changing and the line between reality and virtuality is getting blurrier and blurrier.
That's a great way to put it. And within this landscape, Andrew Tate is this really compelling and maybe even cautionary example.
Okay, so we've explored the highs and lows, the controversies and the contradictions, the business savvy and the questionable philosophies. Where does this leave us? What are the key takeaways from this deep dive into the world of Andrew Tate?
Well, I think one of the things that really stands out is how Tate's journey embodies both the potential and the perils of the digital age.
Hmm.
He's a master of self-promotion and online marketing, but he's also this lightning rod for controversy and a reminder of the darker side of influencer culture.
He's like a walking, talking paradox, isn't he?
Yeah, he really is.
A symbol of both our aspirations and our anxieties, our fascination with success and our unease with its darker underbelly.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And that's why, whether you admire him or despise him,
Yeah.
it's worth paying attention to his story.
Yeah.
Because it reflects something much larger than just one man's rise to fame and fortune.
Yeah.
It reflects the anxieties, the aspirations, and the contradictions of our time.
It's a story that forces us to confront some uncomfortable questions about, our own values, our relationship with technology, and the evolving nature of success in the digital age.
Yeah.
It's a story that's both fascinating and unsettling, inspiring and cautionary, and one that's likely to keep unfolding in unexpected ways for years to come. It really is. It's like
Yeah.
we're looking into this funhouse mirror,
Yeah.
a distorted but still recognizable reflection of the world we live in.
It is, and even if we don't like what we see, it's hard to look away.
That's the power of his brand, I guess, right?
It is. Love him or hate him, he demands attention, and that brings us to a really crucial point, regardless of how you feel about him.
Yeah.
Andrew Tate's story is a reminder that the digital world isn't this separate thing. It's an extension of our reality, with all its complexities and contradictions and consequences.
He's a product of the internet age, but his influence spills over into the real world,
Yes.
shaping conversations, impacting lives, and really raising some important questions about how we navigate this whole new landscape.
And as you continue exploring the digital world, armed with the insights from this deep dive, I encourage you to stay curious, but also critical.
Okay.
Don't just passively consume content. Question it, analyze it, and consider its potential impact, both positive and negative.
So it's like we need to develop this whole new set of digital literacy skills.
Yeah,
Not just how to use the technology, but how to think critically about all the information we're bombarded with every single day.
precisely.
Yeah.
And that includes being aware of the subtle ways in which influencers like Andrew Tate shape our perceptions and beliefs.
Okay.
It's about recognizing the power of personal branding and understanding how it's used to create both genuine connection and, manipulative persuasion.
So it's not just about avoiding the bad guys online.
It's also about being more discerning about who we choose to follow and why.
Exactly.
What are their motivations? What values are they promoting? And how does their content align with our own beliefs and aspirations?
That's a great way to frame it. It's about taking ownership of our digital experience,
Okay.
being mindful of the content we consume, and making conscious choices about who we allow to influence our thoughts and actions.
And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up our deep dive into the world of Andrew Tate.
Yeah,
It's been a wild ride, hasn't it?
it has.
From the kickboxing ring to the world of online entrepreneurship, from flashy cars to controversial philosophies, we've covered a lot of ground.
We certainly have. And while we may not have all the answers,
Right.
we hope this deep dive has given you some food for thought, sparked some healthy debate, and encouraged you to continue exploring this ever-evolving landscape of the digital age.
Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, whether you're a fan of Andrew Tate or not, his story is a reminder that the digital world is this powerful force.
One that's shaping our lives in profound ways. It's up to us to understand that power, to use it wisely, and to ensure that it's used to create a more informed, equitable, and ultimately more humane world.
Well said.
Okay.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.